Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy. What's up, my people? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday show. Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today. Today, our badass guest is Zack Garner, the man. Green Beret, 10 and a half years of service, medically retired as a sergeant first class. He's currently a firefighter at St. George Fire Department in Louisiana, and he has a massive mission coming up called Ride the Divide 2025, kicking off in June. To take a deeper dive into Zack's ride, go check out his Instagram at ZackNextDoor. Link will follow the show. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, always, man, and more and more and more. And I'm excited to get into this because, I love seeing people do awesome feats, especially when they're elongated, and it gives us a chance to root for somebody. Let's get back into, what is it about biking and riding a bike that inspires you?
Man, so my best friend Mike, who's doing this with me, he started cycling, and I think it was just because of the community around it that he fell into it. And then because we were friends, I remember it was while I was in the Army. I was home on leave, and we were hanging out, and he was getting really into cycling, and I asked him that same question. And he was just like, you got to get a bike. And so while I was home, I got a bike and then shipped it up to New York, where I was stationed at the time. And I just started going out and pedaling. And it was just a way to kind of shut my brain off and focus. I get shit all the time because I'm really biometric driven. I love seeing the data while I'm riding. And it distracts me from all the other thoughts that go on up there in my head. And so it just kind of became therapy. And, running could do the same thing, but I don't like running. I'm 6'3", 220 pounds. My joints hurt, and you can cover more ground on a bike. So I just prefer biking over running. But it's always been kind of like an outlet, a therapy for me. Every time I get on the bike, even if I tell myself before I go out, we're just doing a recovery ride today, I turn it into a race against myself every time, which is not always the most beneficial, but I'm still here, so I'll take it.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I tell you, it's funny because I didn't grow up riding, and then around the time that I joined the service, Tour de France became big. Lance Armstrong was pedaling like crazy, and I think everybody just got really inspired to ride the road bikes, and I decided to go road bike and then do a mountain biking. And what I've learned about myself is I really love going downhill. I don't much like going uphill. It's a lot of work. It really makes you own your body weight, but it is fascinating how it shuts you down. A whole different ball game, and you can cover more ground, but you're still earning every bit of that. So
Sure.
It's amazing, man. And you've got a huge history of being on the bike, stopping riding, and then getting back to the bike. Do you want to kick off a little bit of your story?
100%, man. So started riding, back in 2009, and sorry, my dog's freaking out.
Oh, good.
I can't tell if he wants to go outside or not. He's coming in to say hi.
Cool.
There he is.
Yeah.
So 2009, started riding, I got my first bike, was living in New York, moved to Germany shortly after. Everybody rides bikes in Europe, so it was a great way to get around, not get a DUI, because I just ride my bike to the bar, meet up with friends, and then ride home. So that was cool. And then let's see, all through the Q course, we've got to run enough at work, and I didn't I wasn't the fastest runner. I wasn't a terrible runner, but I wanted to be the best runner. But like I couldn't, my joints couldn't take like additional running on my time off. So on my time off, I would ride, and that would transfer over cardiovascular wise to make me a faster runner when I had to run at work. And so that's when I started kind of like really studying like biometrics and getting faster and how to like structure a training program. And then 2015, I got out of the service and didn't know what I was going to do. So I took a couple months and I rode a bicycle from Washington State to Florida, road bike across country, raising money for an organization called Task Force Dagger, and raising awareness around non-pharmaceutical treatments for TBIs, PTSD, that sort of thing. Was a really cool experience and led to a job coaching endurance athletes, primarily triathletes. And at that point, I wanted to understand psychologically where they're at, because I was just a cyclist. I wasn't a triathlete, but I wanted to understand psychologically where they were at. And so I started doing triathlons. And then in August of 2016, I got hit by a car during an Ironman. Spent a couple weeks in the hospital and then a couple months at home recovering. And at that point, I said, fuck road bikes. I don't want to ride on the road anymore, because it stopped being therapy. I was stressed and anxious when I was on the road. Just stopped being fun. And so that's when I started getting into more off-road riding, mountain biking, gravel racing, that sort of thing. And then, let's see, 2020, well, I guess we can go ahead and talk. 2020, I had a bad injury not related to the bike, or illness, if you will, flesh-eating bacteria infection in my leg that spread into my bloodstream and then into my bones, into my heart, translated to 10 months in the hospital, around 40 surgeries, 2 strokes. It was a mess. But I don't sit still well, so I got back on the bike as soon as I got better. Started rehabbing, and then went on the 7X project with you guys. And shortly after that, I was doing private security at the time, and started working with a client that was really into endurance events. And she did a lot of gravel racing, and they needed somebody that could go do that with her. And so I started training up again, like structured training, getting into gravel riding. And then one day I was just like, you know what, it's time. I've always wanted to do this epic ride from Canada to Mexico along the Continental Divide. 67%, I think. Like 2/3 of the route is off-road, and 1/3 is paved sections that connect the off-road sections. So it's, let's see, 2,600 miles and almost 200,000 feet of elevation gain. So that's what we're getting ready to go do here in 11 days. Heading up to Mexico on June 11th and going to hit the trail on June 13th and hopefully finish in Mexico roughly 30 days later.
You're starting in Banff,
mm-hmm.
in Canada, and then cruising all the way down to Mexico.
Yep.
That's 200,000 feet of elevation gain. I mean, that's like 9-10 Everests. I mean, It's just under that, but that's nuts. That's a lot of elevation gain. Wow. So this has always spoke to you to want to do this particular ride, this massive ride. Do you have, and you said you're doing it with your best friend. Yep. What are you guys feeling right now at this particular moment?
Excitement and some stress. Customs in Canada is throwing some hurdles out there to jump over as far as shipping our bikes up there. I did not foresee this, so maybe it's my fault that I didn't anticipate this, but I was setting up shipping my bike, and last night they reached out and they were like, we need some more documentation to do this. So I sent them everything that they needed, and they're like, okay, cool, this is perfect. We'll get it taken care of. We'll have your shipping forms to you in 3 to 5 days. And my bike needs to leave today to get there on time.
Oh,
So
okay.
so I sent a nice email. It legitimately was nice, and I was like, "Is there any way we can expedite this process?" And told them why. And they've told me that they're gonna have it to me by the end of day today. So I'm just hoping that that is before the UPS store closes, and I can get this thing in the mail. Um, Other than that, I'm excited about it, man. Once again, I'm doing this for Task Force Dagger, and then I also looped in Bird's Eye View project this year because since I have now started a second career as a first responder, I wanted to give back to that community as well. And Bird's Eye View works with a lot of nonprofits in that community. So I'm doing it for the two nonprofits, and it's the way I look at it, getting to do this ride that I've had my eye on for almost 15 years is the payoff for raising awareness and funding for those organizations.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Let's dig into Task Force Dagger. I'm familiar with it. I don't know that everybody listening is familiar with it. You want to talk a little bit about who they are, what they do, and why you chose to partner with them?
Yeah. I guess we'll start with why. It's because they've been there for me. They work with the special operations community, all branches, and they've got a lot of programs. So some of the things that I have benefited from with their organization, it started simply when I was getting out of the Army. Um, as I was going through my medical retirement, I had a little bit of a lapse where I was moving out of state as soon as I retired. And I was out of my house because we had renters moving in, and was waiting to final out of the Army and head up to Minnesota. And they reached out and said, "Hey, we'll take care of your hotel room and make sure like you don't need to worry about that while you're going through your medical retirement." And so for like a week, they paid for the hotel room and put us up. Um, Fast forward, when I was hit by the car and in the hospital, they took care of physical therapy, and like a leg brace that I needed when I had the necrotizing fasciitis in my leg. Again, sent me through some programs for recovery from that. And then I also got to be a part of their joint recovery team, which we go on dives all over the world. Like when I went with them, we went to Saipan, and we're doing recovery missions on wreckage sites off the coast of Saipan, looking for human U.S. soldier remains and sending them back home to be repatriated and put back with their family. So hitting wreckage sites that have never been uncovered since planes crashed into the ocean 80 years ago. So it's what I love about their mission is like they provide a purpose for the veteran after they get out, because I think that's where a lot of us struggle is when we get out. It's like a loss of identity, and if we can identify that purpose again, then it makes us feel closer to being whole.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, that's such a diverse thing that they do. I mean, that repatriating, fallen brothers, sisters that have gone down in World War II. Do they partner with another organization, or is that one of their?
It's with East Carolina University,
Okay.
um, with their archaeological department. So there's like a hybrid of special operations guys and college students. And we go and we dive together and, salvage the site. And then they send what we find to the lab. It gets put through the DNA system, and if there are any human remains, they find family members around and give that back to them.
That is legit.
Yeah.
Talk about finding your meaning and purpose after service. Wow.
But
And
they
then
also they call it their Dagger Dive every year, which is bringing veterans down to get dive certified in Key West. And once you go through that, I think that's where they pull guys for their joint recovery team. Um, and that's more of like a rehabilitation event. They've had guys that were multiple amputees. I think there's been like some people that didn't have use of their arms or legs. They were able to get them in the water on a tank, and they, figure out a way to get them involved and put them down there feeling alive again.
It's amazing, man. And people just don't understand how much work goes into these organizations. How
Yeah.
much pre-planning and authorizations and the effort and the volunteerism and, of course, the capital that it takes to do this. And, Task Force Dagger used to be headquartered here in Dallas. I don't know if they still are, if they moved to Florida.
Yeah, I think Tampa area is
Okay.
the headquarters now.
Got it.
Yeah.
They've been an awesome organization and a prominent one here for a long time, and we supported them in the past. They've been fantastic, and hearing that you're riding for them was exciting because we know them.
Yes, sir.
And we're rooting for you, man. So you're going to do an insane amount of mileage with one brother, probably don't have a multi-million-dollar support team, and
support.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got backside support, but as far as the race goes, it's all unsupported. So we're going to be carrying everything on our bikes with us. All of our camping gear, all of our food, all of our water, extra clothes, everything is going to be packed down on the bike with us. So it's going to get heavy.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Talk a little bit about this bike, because it's a custom bike. It's not like your normal, not a road bike, a mountain bike. It's a very interesting hybrid. So talk a little bit about it.
So I would say it's more mountain bike than anything. It's got a hardtail with a front suspension fork, steel frame. It's by a company out in Washington called Woodpecker Cycles, veteran-owned company. They custom made the bike for me. I talked with one of the guys and told him exactly what I was planning to do, and they built the bike around me and that idea. So it's built like a tank. Like I said, steel frame, carbon wheels, carbon handlebars. We shaved as much weight as we could where we could, but with the amount of weight it's carrying, because me and the gear, we're probably hitting close to 300 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, 80 pounds of gear, I'd say, maybe a little bit less, but we're getting close to 300 pounds of just rider and gear weight on top of the bike. So yeah, super hardcore. I've got some wider tires that are about 2.4 inches wide, so that it can handle the rough terrain. But yeah, it's a tank, a two-wheeled tank.
It's cool looking too. We'll actually throw up a picture so everybody can see it. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's got aero bars, so when I am on pavement and just hitting some flat straights, I can tuck down into a more comfortable position and get going a little bit faster. But then it's got the mountain handlebars so that I can control myself off road. Yeah, I've got no worries. That's probably the least amount of stress, is worrying about the bike, because I trust the guy that made it. He does similar events, so he knew exactly what I was wanting when I told him about it. And yeah, I'm stoked to be on it.
It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
What's the mileage per day you're trying to hit?
Trying to hit an average of 100 miles a day. And
now,
terrain and weather dependent, that'll fluctuate. If we're feeling good and the conditions are right, we'll push 150. And if the weather and conditions are not right, then we may stop at 50 one day if it's uphill for 50 miles. So yeah, but overall I would like to average around 100 per day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, me being a now what I would call recreational cyclist is riding with my kids around the golf course or whatnot. What is 100 to 150 miles? Is that a pretty good day of riding? Is that a long ride?
On on this kind of terrain and with this kind of bike, I'm planning for probably around 12-hour days.
Okay.
And that's including stops. We're because we're self-supported. Anytime we need water is going to be either at a gas station or at a natural water source along the trail, which means we're taking time to filter the water and then put it in our water bottles. And then we're packing all of our own food too. So anytime we cross through a town, we're going to resupply. If there's a restaurant, we'll get a hot meal. Otherwise, it's mostly gas station snacks and Cliff Bars, beef
Check.
jerky, that sort of thing. And then every night we'll just pull off the trail, set up our tents, and get a couple hours of sleep, and then rinse and repeat and do it the next day.
That's so your tent is plugged away and folded up inside your bike.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah, I've got like three main compartments. So there's a rear rack on the bike that's got a big waterproof bag. And that's the one that actually has like my whole sleep system. So it's got sleeping bag, tent, all that stuff in there. And then the frame, like the big triangle in the center of the bike, that's all filled in with a bag. And that's going to be mostly like gear, clothing, tools, that sort of thing. And then there's a small bag that hangs off my handlebars that'll have like wet weather gear, cold weather gear, and food.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're not giving your body much time to recover. So it's going to start to get more challenging. What are you guys going to do for that? Or just you going to plug through?
Yeah, plug through it. Recover in roughly 30 days.
That's legit, man. That is legit. That's an
So,
experience. I mean, you're going to see half the United States of America. You're going to see Canada and Mexico. You're going to see beautiful sights. Obviously, going back roads, you're going to see beauty as opposed to concrete jungle. This is what a dream trip of a lifetime for anybody on a bike to actually go through this. Talk to me a little bit about where your gaps are, where your deficiencies, what do you need help with?
um, the big thing right now, a nutrition sponsor would be great, but I'll throw that out there with a caveat that everything, we had a sponsorship package that we were throwing out a couple months ago before we got our kits, our uniforms that we'll be wearing, so that we could incorporate sponsor logos into those. Um, we hit the deadline a couple weeks ago that we had to submit our final version, so we can't add anything on there for that. We'll still take a sponsor, and if somebody is willing to, and do social media stuff, whatever, we can collab on some ideas for how we can give back to that company. But also to the everyday person that hears this and wants to donate, we have a GoFundMe set up to cover overhead costs for food and nutrition as we're passing through towns, as well as hotel costs. Every couple days, roughly every 4 to 5 days, we'd like to be able to get a hotel room. That way we can shower for the first time, like a legit shower, not a baby wipe bath. Stop at the laundromat and do laundry, because we're only taking 2 pairs of clothes with us for 30 days. So we're going to be a little bit ripe by the end of this. But we've got those costs. And then the most important thing is donate to the cause of why we're doing this. That's what I want more than anything. We'll figure out the other pieces. But the biggest thing is donating to the cause, which is the two nonprofits that we're working with, so that the people they work with can receive the opportunities and the support that I got when I got out.
That's awesome, man. So you're set yourself a bar of $100,000 for Task Force Dagger. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody can go to Zach's Instagram page and you'll be able to check it out. We're going to, again, put this link up, but you can go and support right that GoFundMe site right on his page. And we would ask you if you have any of the means to do that, please do so. This is one of those ones where I've known Zach for a while now, but it's one of those dudes that motivates everybody around him. Everybody loves you, and it's almost annoying now to where it's like people hear about you before they see you, and then they're already like, "Oh my God, that's Zach!" Like, huh? Like it's
too much credit,
dude. You have an aura that's already spreading, and we need to match that with donations to make you hit your goal, man. Because you're one person who shows the proof in the pudding that you have always been a believer in cause. You served your country. You got injured severely. A cause stepped up to help you, i.e. Task Force Dagger. And now being able full circle to come back and do something really, really tough. It's not easy to help them out and raise and garner funds for the next person. I mean, that's the easiest way to support somebody right there. It's pretty cool.
I mean, the biggest thing, I get asked all the time, especially from like guys at work, why would you go ride a bike 2,600 miles? And the biggest thing is because the simplest answer is because I can.
Yeah.
Because I've known what it's like to not be able to do it. Like when I was stuck in a hospital bed and they were like, "You're probably never going to run again. We don't know if you're going to even walk once you get out of this hospital." I can, and so why waste it? Because you never know when you're not going to. And I wanted to clarify, when we post links on here, hopefully we can post two. One is going to be the nonprofit donation page, and the other will be the GoFundMe. And I just want people to know, donate to the nonprofit before you donate to the GoFundMe. The GoFundMe is for buying Mike and I a beer or a meal or a hotel room. But if we can't have those things, we'll figure it out. I've slept in worse conditions. But the biggest one is the donation page for the nonprofit. If you have the means to give to both, then you're my new best friend. But if you don't, then give to the donation page.
Right on. We'll get both of them lined out and we'll cite exactly what they are. So you'll raise $100,000 for beer money. And
we don't need that. That's counterproductive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and, back to your point of because you can. I mean, there was a point in time when you were in the hospital for the flesh-eating bacteria that, I mean, they rushed you to the hospital, right? They overnighted you and said you had to get there.
Yeah, well, so I initially went to like an urgent care because I just had like some irritation in my knee. I honestly thought a bug bit me and it was just swelling up. So I went to an urgent care and they gave me a steroid injection and sent me home. And then a couple days later, my knee was like a basketball. And I went to an orthopedic doctor, and that's when he was like, there's definitely an infection in there. And then he sent me straight to the hospital to be admitted. So they admitted me right away. And I was in that hospital for probably 3-4 months. And then they flightlined me up to Boston to Mass General. And I was inpatient up there for like another 3-4 months and then back in Florida once I was stable.
I mean, do I remember this correctly? When the doc noticed this, when you did the steroid injection, it kind of exacerbated the infection to where it was like, now it's a problem. Serious shit. Get going now.
Yeah, the steroids basically fed the bacteria, and once they did realize it was an infection and they started IV antibiotics, it wouldn't even respond to the IV antibiotics. So it took almost a month before they figured out like how to actually treat it. And during that month, it was just spreading throughout.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
When your life is on the line, man, and you don't know what the hell's going on, when you get through it, you're able to accomplish. Like, I already know right now that you're going to smoke the ride, but it's going to be so awesome to watch you and track you as you go through this journey.
That's another thing. I just set this up and I'm real excited about it. I was literally doing this like in the hour before we hopped on here. So I bought a spot tracker, and I will post that link in the bio for my Instagram if you want to share it on your means. And people can click on it. It'll update like every 10 minutes with my location and see where I'm at along the way. And if you live in that area, send me a message and come camp with us for the night.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it'll be
That's
a live tracker that'll show where I am. Please don't come kill me. I'll kill you first.
Yes, you will. 220 pounds, 6'3", Green Beret. I would dare you. No, I'm kidding. Let's just have a nice, easy ride out of this. Easy for us to watch, hard for you. Tell us about your brother who's riding with you. Tell us a little bit about him.
So Mike Pike, we grew up in Indianapolis together. Mike was not in the service. Comes from a law enforcement family, though. We grew up playing music together. I played guitar growing up, and we met in Indianapolis through the music scene and started jamming together. And I was 16, he was like 21. And we just started jamming together and writing music and playing music. And he's just always been there. He's always been that friend that I call and vent to. And now he's got 2 kids and grown up. I remember when I was 16 and he was 21, he was buying me beer because I couldn't. And now he's like a responsible adult with kids. And it's awesome to be able to go do this because the two of us have talked about it for like 15 years that one day we want to do this together. And so there's no one else I'd rather do it with. And I'm super stoked and pumped. And he's one of those people that everything that he commits to, he's like a perfectionist. And so I have no doubts that he'll finish it because that's just the mentality that he has. And yeah, we're going to have a blast, and we're going to laugh the whole way down to Mexico.
That's legit, dude.
Yeah.
That is legit. What day does it kick off exactly?
June 13th, we kick off from Banff, and then hoping to finish at Antelope Wells, New Mexico, which is right at the border of Mexico, by July 15th.
Okay. We'll be putting out that tracker on Bird's Eye View Project's charity social media so that you can follow Zack. Obviously, I'll have it up on the Frogman Friday show's link, and then I'll be putting it on my personal as well. But I'm certain that you'll be able to track it off of Task Force Dagger's social media and then Bird's Eye View Project, so you have multiple ways to actually find Zack and support him along his route and journey. Another question that comes to mind is, at certain times, like you said, there's times where you might be able to knock, 150 miles out a day, and then you get those crazy weather days where you're going 50 miles straight uphill the whole time. And you're like, this sucks, and you get tsunamis and crazy wind and all that shit. What is going to be your mentality to drive and persevere through that? Like, is there something specific in your mind you go to, or is there something you're riding specifically for here, a person or a specific thing?
So I'll tell you, when I did the last cross country ride, there were definitely those days. And what worked for me was thinking about the friends, and even not necessarily my friends, but third party friends, guys from the unit that I may have crossed paths with but didn't know personally that aren't here anymore. Guys that have since leaving service have committed suicide. I think about how they don't have the means to do this, and I'm lucky that I do. And that's my driving force. Is it's for those that can't.
That's legit, man.
Yeah.
With that mentality, you will always win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do that on the daily. When shit gets hard. That's kind of my driving force in life now. So why change it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's legit, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, I can't wait. I'm super excited for you. I almost want to go with you. My wife will kill me if I will. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to definitely have to log some miles with you. So I'm going to figure that out. but more excited just to see you do this journey that you've been thinking about for so long. And we're right there, a week and a half away.
I couldn't do it without your support, buddy.
Oh, come on now. You would do it regardless. There's no stopping you. Yeah, man. This is awesome. Well, again, we'll blast everything out. This is Zach's trying to raise $100,000, obviously more, but $100,000 is a set goal for Task Force Dagger. So if you could go check out Task Force Dagger, beautiful nonprofit that supports the special operations community, give them a like, follow them, and then go check out Bird's Eye View Project so that you have multiple ways to actually follow, track Zach, and learn a little bit more about what we do to help veterans and first responders doing epic shit like Zach is about to do. We're going to blast it all out, brother. We're going to do everything in our power to help you hit your goal financially. And we cannot wait to watch you do this because we know you're going to finish it. And there's going to be a big celebration at the finish line. I'm 100% certain of that.
Can't wait, man.
Mexico?
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. Cross the border and drink some tequila. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. It's been an honor to get to know you over the last couple of years, man. And one thing about Zach that I've consistently seen is every time he shows up somewhere, he's got a smile on his face. He's happy to receive the people around him. People flock to him because of his personality, because you truly live that because I can attitude. You do every day, and everybody says it. And I think we all find ourselves at times trying to get to the place that you're currently at. So we wish you all the best. And this is just one of many things that you're going to do in the future. And so, yeah, let's just keep following Zach and let's cheer him on and make sure to go donate.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man. This is going to be so fun.
Frogman Friday. Long live the brotherhood.